progress.
Excuse me for being a little delayed. I just want to bring something to everybody's attention. You learn something every day. We've got an issue that I got delayed with dealing with. One of our owners had a water leak in a villa that experienced extreme amount of damage because nobody was there, just over the weekend, but that's the way it was.
Hot water heating.
But with the hot water heating going, and they contacted their insurance company, and ServPro has got a cleanup bill and a demolition bill of close to $13,000. And they find out that their insurance company's got a $3,000 internal limit on water damage.
Oh my.
So it behooves all of us, when we renew our policies, to make sure there's no internal limits there that may impact you, especially when there's water involved, because that's probably the most expensive thing you're going to get involved with when you deal with it.
Oh.
John, you need to join us again.
Yeah, it said unknown error.
Yeah.
We'll get rid of that unknown.
I know that one of the insurance policies that both Roger and I have, there's a $10,000 limit on water damage.
Okay.
But that wasn't enough for Roger when he had some problems.
I just happened to an agent that I know. I called that agent, and she told me she had no internal limits on Universal.
Yay, that's what I have.
Trying to get in again, it says internet issues.
Great,
Chris.
that sounds great.
No, it's why would we be off the internet?
I don't know, I'm on.
It's trying to connect, it's wheeling.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this your display, Chris, or his?
No,
This
that's
is mine.
Chris's. You ever want to come up? Well, usually it just goes right on it when you... I don't want that one. Yeah, no. Yeah.
The gentleman.
898646.
220-117. Oh, no tissue.
It's not the first Tuesday. Tomorrow's the first Tuesday, we'll see.
Maybe I'll reboot, try it again.
Well, why don't we just go ahead?
Okay. We got a camera.
Confirmation of proper notice.
Notice posted according to statutory requirements.
Roll
Posted.
call.
Roll call. Fanfare, Cookie Finch.
Oh!
Thank you so much. Dan DiStefano.
Here.
I'm here. Shannon Young.
You're here.
Steve Bull.
Here.
Dick Picola.
Here.
Jenny Palmer.
Here.
Karen Banker. Here. Monica Heigl, I see you.
Raise your hand, Monica.
Monica.
Okay.
Mark Howard? No.
No, he won't be here today.
Tiffany Conklin. Here. Barb Carey. Here. Gus Miller. Is he on there anywhere? No? And John West.
Here.
Okay. We have a quorum.
Yes.
No Gus and no
I
John.
sent Gus the package, so he does know it's on.
That's the one we missed.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have any comments today. Whoa. Later on in the meeting, there'll be a comment.
Okay.
Minutes review. Everybody have a chance to review the minutes? Do I hear a motion to approve? Second. Second, Danny.
That's the first one.
Anybody opposed? Nope. Okay, that's approved.
That's the second one.
Second one, this is a
April,
special meeting on
May 23rd.
May 23rd. Somebody look at those? Yes.
I did send an email about requesting that my vote be changed. Is that all right to change the minutes?
I have no issues with it.
So you want to amend it to say you abstain?
Abstain,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, let me just address that because I saw some communication. Most attorneys will say you're elected to vote, and they advise you to do so. Abstaining is usually in there when there's a conflict of interest. And so that's why it's in there. It's not necessarily there to use as a tool, but it can be because it's there. But primarily it's there if your uncle's got the long machine that you're voting on or something like that. So that's why it's there. You have a right to change, yes.
Thank you.
I'm glad you finally explained that. I just was always told you can't abstain.
Well, it doesn't even say conflict of interest in our bylaws or
It
the
doesn't say
state
that, but
statute.
the attorneys will tell you if you ask them.
I get that
Yeah.
there would be appropriate reason to do that.
Yeah. Because if you didn't have that, then you couldn't, if you did have conflict of interest, you'd have no way out.
Well, then, do our minutes need to be rechanged? I mean, not our minutes, our bylaws changed to reflect that?
I don't think our bylaws said we have to vote.
Our bylaws say we can abstain.
Yes.
And that's
Yeah.
in line with the Florida state
Right.
statute.
Right. So as amended, are you making the motion, Tiffany?
Sure.
I'll second.
We'll take care of that.
Anybody opposed?
Anybody opposed? That was the amendment, or to the change.
Yes.
Everybody fine with the minutes otherwise? Right. Somebody wanna,
No, that's the whole.
that does the whole thing, okay. Just wanna make sure. Alright, financial matters,
Okay,
treasurer
so,
report.
thanks. Under administration, of course, that's the lower than anticipated insurance premium costs, which is gonna be talked about later in the agenda, about what we're doing with that. For the most part, a lot of these are timing, and there is one exception that I'll talk about, and that's under utilities, is the $25,000 of that $52,000 overrun is due to the trash removal costs.
Right.
The higher than anticipated trash removal costs, and that will continue to grow throughout the year. So,
Yeah, we were not made aware of that by the county, and when the
Correct.
budget was done, nobody said anything, so.
Correct.
Just one of those things that you can't do anything about.
Do you anticipate that they're going to raise it again, or will this be?
well, the thing
Well, I
is, the
call that
timing
a-
between, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. When we do the budget, obviously, we contact these agencies, and they, although it was, I guess, known by the agency, the people I talked to said that they didn't anticipate what was being proposed to be additionally passed, and they didn't want to give me a figure. I called afterwards, and they said, no, they went for the whole Megillah, and the thing should be pretty steady from
It was
now
about a
on.
month after the board approved
I
the
remember
budget
that, yeah.
that they flipped.
Yeah.
So we're totally at their, yes, mercy, in
That's
regards to
county.
having any discussion about putting
It's-
it out for
County
bid.
government.
The only thing I can say is it doesn't mean anything, but it's everybody. Me in a single home got hit, everybody got hit because of the new dump, because of the costs. Equals that.
So for the rest of the items on note 3 through note 6, I'm like a broken record throughout most of the year talking about timing differences. So I talked to our bookkeeper about, why can't we adjust the monthly amounts to reflect, say, for example, the natural gas usage at the pools, it's very seasonal, can't we budget that way? And no, because he simply takes our approved annual operating budget and divides it by 12. So I just sound like a broken record
It's
throughout
always,
the
always
year.
been that way.
It's always been that way, but I
Goes up
really
a certain
wanted
time of
to
year,
try
comes down
and
other times.
not be a broken record.
Hopefully it evens out.
That's all I got.
Any questions?
Okay, thank you.
I have a small addition.
Yeah.
As you asked me to get in touch with our auditor about the paying of the income tax.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna bring that up.
Yeah, you were gonna bring it up. Well, I got a parole issue from him. He said there's no reason why we can't pay out of the reserves where the interest is earned, so we don't have to go back and forth and make all these changes.
Good.
So he's advising us to do it he asked me to talk to Norris to see why he's reticent against it, but he said we can do it, so he should be able to take place.
So I did some research through the Community Association Institute. I posed a foreign question, and 5 out of the 7 responses so far are say it's perfectly, if you're paying taxes on the interest you're earning on reserves, the taxes can be paid out of the reserves. Now, not to mention, we budgeted that interest net of taxes.
Right.
So it's not like we didn't budget it, so, yeah, so that's good news,
Hello?
John.
Yeah.
I still would like to allocate it because there is a
Hello?
piece of that total interest that was earned on the operating side to the sweeps. So, going back to the,
Well, we'll find
I
out.
can take a look at the tax
It's
return.
gonna be a couple, the interest earned was what, about $3,000
The interest,
earned on the operating portion of that insurance.
no,
My guess was around, you got a better
I
figure.
got the exact number.
Why would I doubt that?
Sorry you asked. So out of the, I'll use round numbers, so out of the $49,000 in interest we earned, about $5,900 of that is operating. That's about 12%.
All right, and so
Now, there are
we
other-
can appropriate that very easily.
But I wanna go back and look at the tax return because there are fees and stuff that happen on the operating side that are also part of taxable. So let me take a look at the return and we can come up with an allocation if one's warranted. Is that fair
Sure,
enough?
why not?
Okay.
Come on in.
Well, maybe it's not really. Oh, that's what these are.
Okay, let me go on to the CD report. So our CDs to date,
Don't worry
You're
about
good,
it.
you're
Don't-
good.
Ernie, don't worry about it. Something to raise your head on.
well, as of April 30th, let me just say, as of April 30th, we have $1.2 million in CDs and another $270,000 in the cash account on file at Edward Jones. Of course, that's as of May 30th. I just updated for the, April 30th. Just updated for May 31st, and we took a lot of that cash account and rolled it into more CDs. So we have about 1.5 million in CDs right now. So we're still on track to earn about $70,000 this year. But again, we budgeted net of tax, so just so we're clear on that. A couple other things I just wanted to bring up. We talked about the federal income tax, the unclaimed funds. I did a status check on that. So they received ours mid-March, and they're up to the end of February. So I figure in another month they should be up to us.
And it was
So
3,500?
about that. It should be that. I sent them everything that we could possibly send them, so hopefully there's no questions. We'll get a check on that. I think that's, we talked about the taxes. All right, good. That's all I got.
Okay.
John, you mentioned the other day something about reclaiming.
Yes, we're still, actually, I was looking into a grant situation that the government had regarding expenses during COVID time. And so, it took me a couple of weeks to put everything together, and I sent a package up to this company that promotes this. And once they got it, they said, oh, yesterday the government decided to shut the program down, which was very frustrating because it could have been a good amount of money. I got a call last Friday saying that the Congress voted it down, but the Senate didn't, and it's back in action. And she actually had an appointment to talk with me last Friday, and our phones were gone all day.
That's why I asked.
Yeah, and so our phones were down, so I sent an email back to her this morning, or this afternoon actually, and we were setting up another time. My understanding was that we paid, as you know, our employees all the way through, including 2 that were out for more than 4 months. We paid their salaries, and my understanding was that that program was to put into, reimburse for things like that. Now they're saying it's been modified somewhat to profitability of the company while the COVID was on, and of course we don't have a profit or loss, even though they say nonprofit companies can participate. So I'm a little confused at what's happening, but I'm trying to get some money.
John, do we know how much that would be worth, about maximum, say?
I was
range?
told it'd be over $100,000 if what I feel we should be collecting.
Right.
But we don't know.
Okay.
Be sweet. Yeah. Okay, accounts receivable.
Accounts receivable, a little higher, and I'm going to blame a little bit that on us in the office with our changeover, but we're on top of it now. But as of the 30th, we had 8 unit owners that owned less than a full amount of quarterly payments. We had 22 that owned 1 quarter, 13, and 13 collection letters were sent to those that owe 2 quarters or more. Subsequently to this report, even though it was done last Friday, 5 of the ones that owe 2 quarters or not have been paid. So we made some calls and things will start to happen.
The 762 up to date,
I can tell you in a
that's the
minute.
one that's been vacant for 5 years.
Yeah, they're probably behind again, but they were brought up to date 2 quarters ago. 762. Not on my list, so they must be.
John, we tack on late fees on all these overdue?
Oh, yes. Yeah, they're not currently on the list. Yeah, we collected over $23,000 on one of them once. So yeah, it's all on there. Once it goes to the attorney, they do the interest calculations and the late fees and everything else.
That includes the attorney's costs as well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
When does it go to an attorney? After?
Well, there's a new law, well, it's happened last year, but you gotta send a letter out now to certain specifications. Used to be, we could send a letter saying you owe this, please pay, you owe this, gonna send weenie after you or whatever, you know. But now, you have to send a specified letter with the documentation before the attorney can take it.
Certified.
So those, yeah, these 13 letters of process are going out.
Units with legal issues.
None at present. If some of these don't pay, there will be.
Old business. Second floor.
Okay, project's about 50% complete. Inspections have to be made though. We've got some feedback that some of it hasn't been done maybe up to the standard we like. We're doing that this week. Steve and I met with the painter last, I think it was Friday, and or no, Thursday actually, and they were to go out and investigate yours and 612, and he's bringing his carpenter is out today to take a look at taking the lower boards off. Dan over here come up with some material that will resolve the issue once we could do it, so we're working toward the issues there.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have had some people call back extolling the virtues of the color. We've had some people call that aren't exactly happy, but that's where we are.
Can I ask a question about that? Wait, can I ask a
Sure.
quick question? Above me, I'm in 532, above me, you guys put the vinyl down. Are they pulling that vinyl off? That's coming off? Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah, it's an
If that
issue.
was-
The
yeah,
prime
slippery.
issue, yeah, the prime issue there is that the glue that they use, the heat is impacting it and really messing it up.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah.
'Cause I-
And that contractor is still
And
saying.
they're still
we'll make it-
pulling the tile on the ones
Yeah.
that have tile on them.
The tile's coming up.
That's what I mean, the
Yeah.
tile's gonna come up on the ones that
Polypebble
have
tile, carpeting.
That's
and-
just down the road. They're doing the ones that are already, gotcha,
Exactly.
gotcha. Okay, I was
So,
just curious.
could I, just about the money, we don't have any recourse for that glue not really standing up to any type of warranty or
The
anything?
contractor will be back in town in September. Before he left, he said he would make some sort of remediation. He's on a world cruise. And so, but he's a
That
resident.
knows our money.
And he's a
World
resident
cruise.
here, I think he'll come belly up as he said he would.
So we'll just keep pursuing.
Yeah,
Okay.
we know where he lives.
Just raise his dues.
Yeah.
Send anybody up here?
Okay, maintenance fee reduction. It's supposed to be reduction.
Are we there yet?
We didn't get there yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
a
we
different
are.
line.
Maintenance fee
Okay, yeah.
reduction.
We did it all. All right. The board at its last meeting decided through the calculations of the monies potentially needed next year and the monies collected this year is that we could give back $100 a unit per quarter. So if you take the calculations per the documents, it turns out to be the 2300s will get a reduction of 106.58, the 900s 95.56 as calculated per the documents. So new coupons will be sent, should the board approve this, in the amounts. And we'll do the coupon production internally, and they will be due July 1 and October 1.
If you're auto pay, then it just reduces it, right?
If you're on auto pay, we take care of that internally. You don't have to do anything.
Okay.
So, in light of the trash removal costs, which will amount to an extra $60,000 a year, are we gonna be able to pay that and give back this money?
That's up to you all. I mean, we figured get tight, and of course that we might run over a little bit, but
Do we still feel comfortable that we'll be able to keep that through next year?
Yeah. I mean, we have to pay that bill. It's not like we can't pay it if we run out of money.
we'll be able to pay the bill. Will we run over for the full year? Yes, we certainly will.
But
But we'll eat back into the operating surplus.
Surplus. So most likely we're gonna be using the surplus. How much do we have in the surplus right now?
It's very hard to figure because of the way they're handling the insurance. We've got $557,000, I think, in the insurance fund, and part of that is surplus monies. So once I can break that out, I'll be able to figure it, but we're hoping to have at least 50 or 60 in there.
So the total difference between the actual bill and what we budgeted is how much? We just go over,
The total different bill, you're saying the insurance bill?
yes, the insurance bill.
The insurance bill was $989,000.
Okay.
We
and-
budgeted $1.6 million.
Okay, so we're talking about.
But we were, in that 1.6 was paying some of the arrears from back last year.
Right.
And so that's why the calculation came forward that at best, a couple $100 a quarter would be there.
What's the total refund?
Well, it's gonna be
600,000?
55,800 a quarter, so it's 111,600, something like that we're giving back.
Oh, what?
And if we don't have garbage pickup the last 2 months,
Well,
We're gonna
next
hear from
sidewalk.
Tammy at,
Yeah, next sidewalk.
the average anyway, it's about when they pick up anyway, right?
He likes us, he always comes to our place.
Well, as a board, do you wanna reconsider this, looking at the trash issue, or?
well, I'm just trying to understand the numbers, so 1,600 we budgeted, 1.6 million we budgeted, the actual came in at $1 million, I'm rounding, so we have to, and we over budgeted by $600,000, but we're only gonna refund $112,000.
We didn't over budget by 600,000. We also calculated a percentage of an increase for next year.
Okay, so that's an annual
Yeah,
amount?
yes.
Yes, got you, okay.
So
As opposed to
there's at least a
quarterly
15% increase
I
in
got
next year's premium, so
I got you.
that takes care of the majority of what you're talking about.
Right, so the 111,000 represents 2 quarters as opposed to, yeah, okay.
No, I
4
don't
quarters.
I think he
4 quarters brings us up to maybe 440, 450,000.
Yeah, because we still might have to bill of 1.2 next year.
Right, we don't know for that first,
Yeah.
first
If
year.
we get a 15% increase on $1 million, it's gonna be 1.15.
Yeah. Is that some, like a sheet you could lay out,
I
like, for
thought we
me
did,
after?
I'll do it again, sure, we'll work somehow.
Okay, I'd just like to.
Come on down, we'll do it together, okay?
You know I'm there, you know I'm there.
Alright. Well, we need to,
Well, I think you want a motion to
yeah.
proceed, because this is a monetary action that you, I guess the word would be semi-promised money back if we had it, and we do have some.
Yeah.
Whether the amount you want to put back or not is up to you.
I just wanna be sure that we have enough in surplus to cover all our,
Well, let's say this,
Expenses.
suppose we don't have a 15% increase next year, because there's a good chance we may not. We only ended up with a 12. Then that alone would take care of the loss in the garbage. So let's just leave it lay. I mean, I think you can do this and do that.
comfortably, you're comfortable.
I didn't say comfortable, I said you could do it.
Well, nobody's coming. If we have a bad hurricane season, we're gonna get nailed come insurance time.
Sneak.
Yes.
Alright, guys, go ahead.
Yoo-hoo, Gus.
Gus.
Yes.
Go ahead.
You also need to understand it's kind of hard to hear you guys breaking up, but is it possible to have in the budget 2 different line items for the insurance? One for the current year and one for the future year, so it's a little bit easier for everybody to understand where this money's going?
I think we can look at it and get advice, sure. Why not? We could try. Did you get the materials, by the way, Gus?
No.
I sent them to you. You should look on, you should have them. You should have them.
I don't think I'm getting any mail forwarded right now. I should be, but I'm not.
Okay.
No, email.
Email, we're talking about email.
Email?
Yeah.
Yeah, I sent it to you.
I have to go back and look, I'm sorry.
That's all right, you're here. You hear what's going on. It's good. I just wanted you to be informed.
Sure, thanks.
So we're talking about when we do the budget meetings that we can
All
break
right,
that
yeah,
out?
we're gonna have our first budget meeting in July, and we'll work on something to do this.
Okay.
I know you can do it, Barbara. If anybody can, you can.
We'll make,
Alright, do we still wanna have a motion now? Get this.
I think you would.
Okay, should we make a motion for him? Okay, I move that we accept the proposed return of funds to owners. Reduction.
Insurance
Of
package.
the insurance, from the insurance package.
As specified.
Specified.
Specified. That's true, I just
You just made that up.
yeah. As specified.
Manager's report.
To accept.
I'll second that, Steve, if you can second.
Give us a second.
Shannon to bless it.
Discussion? As always before a vote.
we kind of already discussed.
I'm not Hindu.
Okay.
Reduction. I gotta do it all.
Manager's report.
Of fees. As
Oh, did we have a vote?
per
No,
the
we
Yeah.
manager's report.
Come here.
Yeah, she's gonna do it for us. Individually.
Okay,
Me too.
so we're going to move to accept the proposal that is in the manager's report.
Yes.
To reduce the association fees. Okay.
An average of $100 per unit.
On average,
per quarter.
100 per quarter.
Question. That's
Monica, you're having way too much fun out there.
Is she in Colorado? Where is she?
I don't know, but she
South
was.
corner.
Is she in Colorado?
She is in Colorado, I believe.
Okay. Cookie,
Yes.
Dan?
Michigan.
Michigan, okay.
Oh, same thing.
I have a brand new great grandbaby here.
Oh, congratulations.
Butte.
I say yes. Shannon?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Denny?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Monica?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
Tiffany?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Okay.
She's clenching her fist under the table. Gus
Yes.
and John West.
Yes.
Okay, adopted.
Adopted, passed. That's something that, probably won't see in any other condo association in the country, is dues going down.
Yeah, really.
You live in a good place, I'd be glad you're here.
Yeah, but they went up a lot.
I know, across the street, it's just they weren't here.
Oh, yeah.
All right, electrical repairs.
Okay, electrical repairs accomplished since the last meeting is 438 and 439. Installed temporary ground straps have been replaced by our contractor. 138 Pinehurst temporary ground strap is still awaiting FP&L approval and appointment. 571's temporary ground straps have been replaced.
Very good, sir. Progress on that.
That's now a line item in reserves, is it?
Well, we call it building expense.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to adjust that next year, I'm
Okay.
sure. Cable contract, Spectrum.
I'd apologize for sending out the wrong information. I know that Barbara resent it out, and so, what we're looking at is the cable proposal from Spectrum. This is the old one. No, that's, I might have left it on my desk.
I couldn't print it off.
I printed a bunch of them off. Let me see if I can get,
You want me to just go out?
yes, they're sitting right on my desk, Barbara, thank you. I apologize.
That was the latest one with the,
Yeah, the latest one,
Cinemax.
Cinemax. Yeah,
And that's the 125,500?
yes.
Now, it's Cinemax and what?
It's
HBO.
HBO.
HBO, Cinemax, and two boxes.
What the additions were, the primary addition is they're proposing to lower the rates $10 a unit a month. Okay? Secondarily, they are adding HBO and Cinemax at no charge to the association's grouping of divisions. They came out and did about 80% of the work, 85% of the work that in the burying and the straightening up of their materials. Mr. Luger, who is our representative, assured me that once I contacted him upon coming back from vacation to tell him that all wasn't done, that they will be out here next week to finish up what they're doing in line. It's not on,
No, you sure you don't
she made a whole bunch of copies.
I know.
Yeah.
Maybe they're in a copy machine.
Could I have stacked them in here? No?
Is this it, Ron?
No.
It's the updated Spectrum.
Yes,
that-
yes. Yeah.
And then
It
Marv's
should be, the bunch
supplemental
should be on my
sheet.
desk.
Well, I emailed this out to the board.
Yes.
Can you just work
We
like
can
that?
just hear it.
Okay.
Just to put that in perspective, $10 per unit per month, about a $66,960 reduction per year is what we're paying now.
There's your garbage.
This unit has.
There you go. There's your garbage money.
Keep your hands off it.
Yeah. That's right, because it'll impact for 2 months, that will help.
So there.
But that's a pretty nice savings.
And
And then they're gonna give us the $125,500.
And it's a 5-year contract.
Yeah,
When does it
5 years,
start?
not 7.
But what's the good news that Mark figured out? What are we gonna do? Mark figured out the good news. We're not gonna start until October.
Yeah, we're gonna start
November.
November 1st, it'll become effective. That way we won't get the 5% increase January 1st. If we sign it now, they still couldn't start it for 3 months because they have to set it all up. And we would start in like September, and then January 1st, we'd have a 5% increase. So by waiting and actually having it effective November 1st, we get to have that price all the way through next year. So there's another,
Actually, 14 months of the year.
yeah,
Which is good.
yeah, that's,
These
yeah.
boxes have a DVR with it?
You get
Yes.
two,
Zumos. 2 set-top boxes.
yes, you get 2 boxes free.
Or 2 Zumo streaming boxes, which can record in the cloud.
Didn't Marv send back say you have one of each though?
Could have one of
I
each,
didn't.
yeah.
What do you
Yeah,
think?
yeah,
They
yeah.
have one, I think it was one of each.
One of
Yes,
each.
that's that was my notes
Yeah.
from the vendor
Very
on
good.
there. You can do one of each.
Now, when they say set-top boxes, is that a DVR set-top box?
One can be a DVR box at no extra charge.
Okay. And then what do you have to pay for the service on the DVR?
That's what you're paying
No.
for the box.
No.
That's what we're.
Yeah, I pay for the box.
And I'll be
No, I pay for the service, not the box.
When I pay for something, I
What
got
do
the
you mean you
box
pay
too.
for the service?
For extra, if you have
I have
extra.
to pay,
It's like $15
Are
a
you
month.
have a DVR box now?
yes, and I'm paying extra on my bill that I
Yes.
get for the phone.
Now,
That's for the
My-
DVR service.
you don't get a separate cable bill? Oh, you have a telephone.
I have a landline.
But my understanding is that fee would go away.
Okay.
Because that, you are paying for the box,
Right.
basically.
Well, they
I
told
still
me-
get a bill from them because I have 3 boxes.
I get a bill too.
I'm
Well, I don't have
assuming
any other
this will
boxes.
replace the old
I
box.
just have that
The
box.
Zumo box.
Yeah, as a matter of
Will
fact,
replace the other box.
they're talking about wanting to bring boxes out in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, are they?
Yes.
Zumos?
And they will
Okay.
have a demonstration in here that we'll make known to everybody if you wanna come
Okay,
in on.
so we're voting not only on
To accept the
going to
contract.
accept it, but as of what date?
Well, you're allowing the president to review the contract and to sign it effective the date he signs it, but for effectiveness of the changeover of November 1.
November 1.
Okay.
What sort of thing are they doing if it's at 90% or 80%?
Well, they had a lot of unburied lines. They had some of their towers that were leaning over and uncovered. And so that's what they're doing. There's still some to be done. The vast majority has been done.
Lakeside hasn't been done.
Some of it was done.
They spent a whole day with like 4 trucks in here, and John and I went around the back of every single unit in this complex, and we made notes of exactly where wires were exposed and covers off of their boxes, and they came out and they went at it, and we went back and we rechecked, and they did a pretty good job at done. One place they didn't do was right behind my place, right behind
Haven't done me out of my
Rogers.
place.
Haven't done mine
Yeah.
because mine's half off.
They
and it's
picked
got
board
mold
members
on
not
it.
to do.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
But they're coming back.
They're coming back next week.
Did we clarify whether the contract includes the, or whether we're capable of doing static IP addresses for the security boxes?
That will be covered. We
Well,
will not need
it's-
static
yeah.
IEP. It will cover free internet to the camera stations.
So
And
we'll
we
cover
do
the
not-
cameras free of charge?
Yes, we
Yeah,
don't
they will
need
cover it
static. We won't need
Without
static.
static, they will cover the cameras.
We're gonna get in depth at the next meeting with that.
Yeah,
There
well,
will
we're
be
gonna-
some costs associated with upgrading the boxes themselves.
We can have
And there'll be proposals from at least 3 companies, I believe it's 3.
Yeah, we've got, somebody can
Oh,
give us
Jim, Jim wanna talk about it?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Go ahead.
My understanding is that they're gonna connect 3, correct? Wi-Fi to the boxes, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
What do you mean?
that's good news.
What do you mean?
That's good news.
free internet to boxes.
First of all, I'd like to apologize to
Oh, free.
the board members. I ran out of colored ink for the pictures, so I only got one picture of station number 2
Somebody right here.
that was completely
One
corroded.
second.
I have before me 3 proposals. One proposal came from Mavic Technologies. One was proposal number 1.
We just jumped to a different discussion?
Yeah, we have,
Do we wanna
asked
finish?
them to, I guess, we might be a speck premature on my fault, Jim. Just wanna hold off, wanna finish the vote on the table itself.
I got
And
nothing but time.
we wanted to explain everything to everybody, but, bottom line is we have to get everything right with, Spectrum before we can proceed.
Okay, so
Well, that's true, but
the savings then would be higher because we're no longer gonna be paying extra for the static
Yeah,
IP addresses.
That's right.
We were
Which
paying
is-
significantly.
We were paying about $700 a month, so now, and then we'll be able to re-establish the cameras,
Okay.
negligible charges. But anyway, let's finish the contract. Good point.
And speaking of trenches, are they making any sort of progress on fiber optics?
They're bringing it to the hubs outside,
Okay,
so it's a matter of when,
they're-
but we're gonna be locked in for 5 years now.
So don't worry about the 5 years.
So we could go with their fiber optics
We could.
before the 5 years is out.
Well, they'll have it up here, yes. Whether they're prepared to bring it in or not. They've always indicated that they would only probably go to their towers. They would never come into the unit, as I recall. But, so it may never come in as fiber optics would all the way into the unit itself. But it's still supposed to be better. We'll see. But we got 5 years to find out. And there might be a whole different, they might be delivered by zone, or by drone, or who knows what.
Lord help us all.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Our original discussion about the Wi-Fi for security, sorry, was about 6 Wi-Fis for security.
We have 6 stations.
I thought you just mentioned 3.
No, those are the worst boxes.
Okay.
That's all that
Okay.
is. That's all those pictures.
Oh, we are getting 6 Wi-Fi as part of our cable contract.
I
We have
thought
6
you wanted to vote on the contract.
We have to vote
Well,
on
it's in the
it.
contract.
Yes,
in
it
the
is.
contract.
Okay, because it's not listed on the,
No, they confirmed it on the telephone.
okay. All right.
So I move we allow our president to sign the Spectrum contract after reviewing the details.
We'll make sure that everybody gets a copy of it before I sign.
Okay.
Is that your motion?
Yeah.
Gus has something to say.
In the end of October.
All right, let's get a second to the motion. Anybody want to second it? All right, John West.
Gus.
All right, discussion. Go ahead, Gus.
I can't understand the motion.
Oh, okay,
Read it.
I move to accept the president signing our Spectrum contract based upon the new guidelines and, what was the other part?
Promises,
And
contract.
specifications to begin service November 1st.
Everybody's had a copy of the contract, right? We've all been over this a couple months ago. So that's basically what you're voting
Well,
on.
why don't you attach to the proposal the numbers and the list
We
of
will.
things? Yeah, okay, that'll make it clear.
As proposed by staff.
Do you still second, John?
I do.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
Let's vote.
Okay. All right. Any opposed?
We got a roll call?
When we actually did the thing and the whole thing.
Nobody
Getting
opposed?
the kickback.
No, that's all going to you, the association. Okay, nobody opposed? All right. So done, passed. Thank you.
Now,
Now you want to do the,
Carport construction.
wait. Is he gonna be-
Oh, do you want to talk about Jim now?
Yeah, I think so.
Jim, are you back there?
Still here.
all right, go ahead.
For those who don't know, he's chairman of the security department.
Okay, I Again, I apologize that I couldn't give you pictures of all the former corroded boxes. The one you're looking at is the second least damaged one, okay? I got two proposals from two companies. One is from Mavic Technologies. Sent me one, I believe you all have a copy.
Yeah.
Sent on May 13th. If you notice on my notes, you had on there a bunch of stuff that is not needed. And that came in at $56.35. I told him, I said, all the stuff that you got there that we don't need, we already own. He said, oh, okay. I said, go back and redo it. Then he came back with one for $45.70. And that was on May 30th. There, he has battery backup, and I haven't had a chance to tell him yet, because I only got that one on Friday. But if you look in those pictures that I gave, in the bed of a pickup truck, you'll see the corroded box. And then behind that corroded box is a black box. And that black box, folks, is a battery backup / surge protector. We own 5 to the tune of $250 a pop. So we don't need them either. Then the second proposal I got was from Sarasota Security Patrol, their CCT division. They came in, and I'm sure you got that copy in front of you too, to do all that work that needs to be done, up to and including the recabling, running new Cat 6 Ethernet cables, having custom fabricated shields that go over the existing boxes that we have now. That will protect the boxes and the equipment from moisture, rain, and they're powder coated. And that's charged in lieu of purchasing new boxes, which would raise the price considerably. Mavic Technologies didn't come in with any price of boxes or any type of custom prefabrication of shields. If you notice on Sarasota Security Patrol's estimate, it says they will install 3 PTZs. Now, in layman's terms, PTZs are push-to-zoom cameras. We do have one, it's up at Station 1 up by Cortez Road, entryway. And what that does, that enables us to do facial capture, facial recognition, capture movement, and be able to communicate back and forth through the camera to tell, well, let's give an example, the unhoused, hey, you're trespassing on the property, you don't belong here. Security and or the sheriff is on their way. You need to go. The one that's up there now is a 3 megapixel. The ones that are proposed, and this is only a recommendation, is a 5 megapixel. They would be placed at the other 3 stations. Now, if the board decides not to go with that, it's a considerable savings of $500 a pop per camera. So $1,500, taking off my shoes and socks. The bottom line on that would be $27.26 with all the work that needs to be done to get the cameras back up and running. We do have 19 physical cameras on the property. One does not work. At the last time they were viewed in September, just before we pulled the plug on Spectrum and sent the equipment back to Spectrum. All but one was not working, and that was the one at Woodlawn, facing Woodlawn. The guarantees that come in, get all this work done. Once we get the internet up at the stations, be up and running, get the installation done, good to go, we'll be up and running again. Putting that big tool back in our security toolbox. which will enhance the safety and security of the owners and residents, and B, it further assists to our security officers that are on physical patrols daily. So that's where I've been working at, and I'm glad to hear that Spectrum decides to come in to give us free internet at the security stations. The reason why we didn't have it before, the first contract, we didn't call for it, but we had with Spectrum. That was an add-on afterthought, and we couldn't do anything about it. Now you guys have the opportunity to do that. So that's the CCTV proposals as we have now. The other two that came in early in the year in 2023, later in the year 2023, the one that came in May from Red One came in at $7,400, and that was replacing the boxes, no camera work, just replace the boxes, do the cabling, making sure the cameras were up and running. The other one that came in August from Coastal Electronics, which was down in Northport, came in at $13,000. Well, the gentleman called me about it. I said, save yourself some paper and some time. Thank you for coming out and seeing what we have. I appreciate your time and effort, but I don't think $13,000 is going to fly. Especially when we had those uncertain times about what the property insurance was going to cost us and everything else that went along with that. So that's where we're at right now, folks.
I appreciate it, Jim. We're gonna.
I'm ready to serve.
Do we have one that he,
I want a raise.
does he suggest any
After I
one
get
over
one.
the other? Our retirement benefits. Does he suggest any one over the others? Does he have a proposal?
Well, I think this is something we're gonna talk about in the workshop
Okay.
next month. This isn't gonna be anything.
Well, you need time to look through the proposals that are here.
Thanks,
Are we
Jim.
talking about in a workshop, or is it gonna be a security committee meeting to kind of do a deep dive in this?
Well, I think they're prepared to recommend sort of security myself. Tell me if I'm wrong, Jim.
We certainly are ready to recommend to the board.
I mean, I have a lot of questions on there.
Well, we'll raise it up at the
Meeting with the
workshop,
committee.
yeah.
Okay.
That's why we have
Speaking
it.
with the committee, our recommendations is to go with Sarasota Security Patrol CCTV division,
Okay.
based on the fact of their cost, being cost effective. Also, the major factor is they know our equipment.
Yeah.
They know what we're up against.
Okay. Can you join us in the next workshop, Jim?
By Zoom, yeah. When
That's
is it?
fine.
That'd be July, whatever the second Tuesday at 10 a.m. July, probably the 10th or 11th, something like that.
Lighting up, not having the needle stuck in my hand at the beginning.
9. Yeah, July 9, Jim.
July 9th?
Yep. 10 o'clock.
Either that or by Zoom.
That's fine. We'll have some questions, then, I'm
I'll
sure.
written down here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Great
Jim.
job, Jim.
You're quite welcome.
Ah,
Still want to raise.
Remote station.
yeah, so do I.
We all do.
In line.
Put another 0 on it, I appreciate that.
Alright, next item on the agenda is carport. I guess I'll let John tell you. Our lawyer has pretty much said that we cannot sell
Cannot build,
limited common area.
if you were to build carports on a common grounds, you would be considered, in selling them, you'd be selling a portion of the common grounds to be occupied by the vehicle. It's outlawed by the state of Florida statute 718. You'd have to go into a very sophisticated leasing system by advancing funds for construction, by, you'd almost have to say, okay, if you want a carport, your lease, you got a 10-year lease for $12,000, pay now.
Yeah, okay.
That's the only way we could do it, and that just is not gonna
we're not a rental agency.
And then you're not gonna build and everything else now.
So,
He told us we're just stepping into deep water.
Is that what he said?
So we become landlords. We would become landlords, basically.
Well, you would, because you can't, the whole idea was to, if somebody wanted to buy a carport, that's one thing, but we can't sell them because they're being built on common land that we can't sell.
Right.
But even though during original construction, that's how it worked.
Well,
Way back
it
in
was
the-
designated that way, yes.
designated.
Yeah,
People,
they're plat.
every single person who bought a unit when this place opened was offered a carport. Every single person.
And they paid
And they
extra
said
for it.
no. The ones that said no didn't get them.
Right.
The ones that said yes, I'll pay, they paid extra and they got them.
No, because I would think
And
that
it's
you could
needed.
just do that same thing now, but you're saying no?
Not the way the documents are set up and what the statutes are. I mean, he was quick, he was saying, I don't know.
Right.
I think it's basically the moment the original titles went through, the common ground was decided at that moment, and now it cannot be changed.
Probably right on, John.
Yep.
Yep.
Alright, so that's. Alright, next item, new business.
Can I ask a question on conflict?
Sure.
So, I'm in, Lakeside, Cluster Road. Our gutters are pretty damaged there, so when do the carports actually get maintained or?
Whenever they need it. You
Okay, so
got
put in a
gutters in the
work
back,
order?
call in a work order. Jim will look at it, and if they need to be replaced, they will.
Alright, so
If
they're
they
not
need
on the
fixed, they'll take
schedule yearly look at or?
We'll make a note of it and we'll, if we need it, I'll write it up, okay?
Okay, thank you.
No problem. New business, communications.
Hold on, question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Per the last board meeting, Dad brought up my tree situation. I don't know if it's part of this meeting or not, but
It is?
per the last meeting, we were gonna bring it up. I don't know, I can't see the whole agenda. So, and it's very hard to listen to what you guys are saying, which is why I have the closed caption on so I can try to follow.
This tree?
But I didn't know if
Oh, no,
everything
that's,
came out.
that was somebody else. Yeah.
It's under.
Yeah, it's on there.
It's coming up.
Okay, I didn't see the lower part.
It's coming
sorry.
up.
I appreciate that.
No problem.
I was thinking that was somebody else.
Alright, communications.
Trains. Okay, communication. A claim for damages for water intrusion due to a roof leak at Unit 519 has been settled by the insurance company. The owner is was paid in full. Unfortunately, we were never notified about the settlement by the company, or were we notified about any part of the claim. I questioned our agent as to why we were not contacted, and he stated that due to the amount of the claim, approximately $7,000, they just settled it versus challenging it. I told him we thought that was unacceptable. We should at least have communication of what was going on. Any questions?
How could our insurance settle it if one hers wouldn't?
I don't know.
Well, that's a big question there, that she's
Well,
got the primary responsibility, ours would be secondary at best.
But they settled it.
They settled it, and that's
Nothing we can do about it.
at this point, John.
Whether we like it or not, or whether we're happy for the owner or not, that's just the way it is. Okay?
Alright, next.
And so on.
That's all you got? Alright. Pickleball and tennis courts. We've got second last time.
All right. Pickleball courts have developed dead spots in the court from erosion from the nearby lake, causing unsafe conditions. The tennis courts need cleaning, crack filling, and repainting. There are 2 local companies that do this type of work. Stewart Tennis, proposal attached. Stewart Tennis was $168,900, which can be reduced slightly by the amount of footage of the wall to be constructed on the west side of the property. We've been informed that our courts are naturally draining to that side, and you would collect water if you did that. But they felt that the fencing the wall building would block the lake from the south and the east side. So, south and, well, the wall's not gonna be put on the west side because it drains that way now.
That's according to the second guy.
According to the
What about
second guy.
the guy with the wall? He said he would drain it
Right.
around.
Well, it could be eliminated, let's put it that way.
Because that whole side floods.
Yeah, then it has to, all right, then the 168.9 stands, okay? I don't have a written one from Lawson Courts, because he was brought in, and he said he would be able to call it in, but not send us anything because of the way he had put things together. And his bid for the same amount of work, apples to apples, was $186,000. 2 years ago, we had an estimate from Welsh Tennis in Tampa to rescarify everything, and that was in the nature of $260,000. This proposal also includes, as you notice, new fencing that surround the pickleball courts, and the alignment, and the scarification and rebuilding of the base. Also, the pickleball courts surface should be up about 6 inches with the new base they're putting in to also avoid flooding.
The base is what so that it's.
What's happening is that lake, if you look at it now, you think it'll never go anywhere. So it's 7 feet down. But that lake historically comes up in the rainy season and goes underneath the court and sucks the water. It sucks it all.
Also comes on top of it.
So the walls are to prevent that?
The walls are, yeah, they'll go down.
They're gonna, okay, all right. You know, to me, a wall.
Yeah, there'll be a footing.
There'll be a footing to prevent the water.
You need to know that.
During Irma and Ian, pickleball courts were almost totally underwater. And that's what's ruined them. Because the water, the lake just overflowed right onto them. Came all the way up to right about where the fence to the tennis courts. But it never got into the tennis courts.
I wanna know
We
where
haven't,
this money's coming from.
Well, Barbara already gave us that. Go ahead. You missed the workshop.
Oh, yeah. In our discussion, the Wildewood Springs Boulevard had reserved in the reserve budget $199,000 to repay Wildewood Springs Boulevard.
That was scheduled for next year, and because we've sealed it and patched a couple spots, then.
So it was redetermined that
It
the
was scheduled for
sealing
this year.
would not,
This year.
I thought it was this year thing. I guess determined the resealing, then we would not have to repay Wildewood Springs Boulevard. So that saves a significant amount of money.
How much?
Now, how much did the resealing come in at? Do you know?
Resealing was about 87, something like that.
That was everything.
That was everything.
What was Boulevard?
Boulevard was 18,
So it's coming from reserve funds?
yes, paid.
Steve, how many guests are coming to play pickleball and tennis?
It's friendly.
A lot?
Probably 80.
And then what's the percentage of people playing tennis ball and pickleball in an association?
Marv's the one that could answer that.
10%. Not a whole lot of tennis.
Not a lot.
Not a lot,
10%.
but there's still some people who play.
Okay, so my next question is, how about we start charging guests?
Well, that's not what our signs, it's what everything is said. If
What
you
is
have,
that?
you can have 3 guests, that's according to,
But guests, the people that come and go, they don't play tennis ball, pickleball every day.
yeah, they're just guests of an owner.
So you don't think that's a good idea?
I'm charging guests going to the pool.
Yeah.
Well, that's another issue too.
Well, I mean, we should keep in mind that the only 2 amenities that we have in this association are the courts and the pools.
Correct.
We don't have a clubhouse or
No.
typically what others might have, I mean, outside of the clubhouse, but.
And that's not a whole lot of maintenance to these. If you add up over the years how much maintenance we spent on pools.
Is that the original court?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now, I remember the fencing's been damaged a number of years now.
That happened, half of it in Irma and the other half in
And that repair has been being put off and put off. This is just in our discussions we've had over the past month. I worked for utilities, so safety is numero uno. And the fact that we allow people to play a cord that has dips as a result of all the water damage over the years, I mean, it could end up being a safety, it is a safety issue now.
It is
The fact that
now.
nobody's got
I'll tell you how.
seriously hurt, tripping and falling is, you know,
But they're
knock
still
on
playing
it.
on it.
They're still playing on it, exactly.
Maybe we should have signs, play at your own risk.
Exactly.
Well,
That should
No,
be,
seriously,
I think
it
it's,
still doesn't
Play at
prevent
your
a
own
lawsuit.
risk.
or got it on the pool sign,
Yeah,
swim at your own risk.
choose your own risk.
So how are we gonna pay for the road when it needs to be repaved then? We're gonna take this money from this. And when is that gonna need repaving now?
It'll be about 4 years on the road.
So how are we gonna pay for that? Because why, if we've known this tennis court's been this way for a while, cause you go out and look at it, yeah, the fences look awful. Why haven't we done anything? Why don't we have a budget that we're putting into every month like the pools? Why has this been neglected?
Actually, we do,
Do we?
yeah. Pools and tennis have been together for as long as I can remember. And when I became the chairperson for the pool committee, that was one of my pet peeves, to break up the pools and separate it from the tennis, which they didn't listen to. But anyway, it's still together, and money is going into reserves for the pools, into the reserves for the tennis courts. And so, yeah, there is money there for
But
this.
it's combination.
Yes and no. Part of it is designated for certain things, like we have money set aside for the chairs, the lawn chairs. We have money set aside for equipment for the pools. Same way with tennis courts, the nets. We replaced the screening when one of the hurricanes, but that did come out of our reserves in the past.
It sounds like a lot of money when we have major electrical issues going on in here. In your last meeting, you talked about that. We've got lawnmowers that don't mow properly. It looks like a farm field when these guys mow down Wildewood Springs. It looks awful. I mean, we're supposed to go into major hurricane season.
Why aren't we getting roofs inspected? When was the last time that every single roof in this place was inspected? By a company, what year was every single building last inspected?
It's a lot of money.
And we're looking to put $168,000 into a pickleball court when roofs should be a priority in here because there are a lot of leaks.
We have, Jim Sell specifies that's his main portion of his job, to go up on roofs. He's up on a daily basis. Have we had an outside firm and come in and do the checking? No, we have not.
We could be doing that.
We got an estimate from a roofing company to give us a yearly inspection, and they wanted $47,000.
Right, but you wanna spend $168 on a pickleball court.
Well, I'm not saying
Right,
that either
but
way it comes. What I'm saying is, we feel that we've been doing it in-house with our employees and not needing to go outside.
But we need to once in a while, every
But I
few
think
years.
it's a common maintenance item, and it's not something like an electrical or anything else. It's a maintenance item, just like the painting of the buildings are.
When are they gonna be done?
They do not come, the roofs are not going under repair every year. They don't need it every year,
They
but
need
they're
to be
inspected.
inspected.
They are inspected
No, they're
every
not.
single year.
No, they're not. By who?
By the maintenance staff.
But he's not licensed,
He
he's not.
does not need a
please.
license any more than
Okay.
I do to be a board
And that's
member.
why I had a leak and 515 had a
But
leak
we
and
also
everyone has
know,
leaks.
madam, that you have not followed the rules in the rule book, which
Okay.
says you will take care of yourself. You know, I've been bothered by this since the beginning. What did you do when this roof leak happened at your
What did you
place?
do?
What did you do?
I
It's
have
your
the mitigation-
responsibility.
I'm not gonna go into
No,
this
you
with
should. Did you cover your stuff? Did you remove furniture? Did you
Yes,
cover your
I
rugs?
had the mitigation company there within an hour.
All great, and how did you have damage then?
because your roof leaked
No,
and it
the
came
roof
down.
was leaking when it happened, and we have the right to get that roof completely finished and repaired, and we were
Your
there in a
liability
timely manner.
company, your
I feel that
liability-
this is ridiculous.
Your
You did nothing.
Your liability company has paid me out in full.
Absolutely, and I will see what I can do about that,
I've
because
already
I
cashed the
find
check,
that
mister.
absolutely
I've
wrong.
already
And
cashed
you're
the
worried
check.
about our budget now,
I've already
and you
cashed
can
the
come
check.
in and rob us like that? Rob us.
Please,
All right.
you're
Please,
wow.
right. I'm
Wow.
sorry.
You are a clown.
Wow.
You're
I'm
a
sorry.
clown.
Order.
You're a clown.
Now.
I am sorry,
You're a clown.
because I just couldn't stand it.
Can I talk about, okay, so one of the things that is in the reserve is to perform a reserve study, which I wasn't gonna talk about this until budget season, but, so every year in our annual audit report, our public auditor writes a sentence in there that our reserves are not supported by an independent reserve study. And so we have in the reserve fund set aside for 2 years from now, 2026, to do a reserve study. And one of the things that reserve study does is go around to everything that qualifies to be funded by the reserve, including roofs, and do its level of inspection as followed by state rules, and to determine then are we underfunded or overfunded in the reserve, et cetera, et cetera. So we could move that up. It's about $10,000. I don't know what it is this year, but last year I was getting general quotes,
10 to 15,000.
10 to 15.
And what do we get from it?
We will know if we're funding enough in our reserves and when, and as to when, we should be doing, let's say they come back and say, oh, your roofs look great. So you don't need to do that roof replacement that you have budgeted 5 years from now. You can put it off 10 years. I'm just making that up.
Sure.
So, but that's,
That would be nice if that.
right. So, but they're very comprehensive.
You need to look at it. Yep.
Can we mute that?
Can he be muted?
I just have a question as an owner. Is there a possibility on the pickleball tennis court issue that it could be repaired enough that it would be okay and nobody get hurt? And then do it in stages so that it wouldn't all come out of 1 year? And it could be part of it done this year and part of it done next year, and see which parts are the worst, what needs to be fixed right away.
Not really, because if you fix the pavement, which is where the safety issue is, redo all that, and then we have a hurricane and the water floods in again, we're gonna end up in a couple years back
And
to the
why
same
doesn't
spot.
insurance cover part of that damage if it's done by the hurricane?
Unfortunately,
I'm just
that's.
asking.
We have $100,000 deductible, I think.
Well, no. First of all, on a hurricane damage, you've got more than that, but that's neither here nor there. The building, the insurance we buy is primarily on the buildings and the fencing and things of that nature. You can't buy insurance for you can't buy any valued insurance for any of the hard top things like tennis courts or trees.
So even if you put in that new wall, it won't be insured if the hurricane takes that retaining wall down?
There's a certain amount of insurance on everything, but basically the main expense is on the buildings themselves. Okay? We have a policy for fencing. We have a policy for property. We have a policy for general liability, workers' comp, and on and on and on. But that's, 15 years ago, we would have State Farm or one of the large companies in here, and they would be insuring tree foliage, everything. It's all been dropped because of whatever reason they want to give you.
It seems like an awful lot of money to put out right now in case something else would come up that you wouldn't have any.
Well, you're still funding all your other material. I mean, here again, it's up to the board to figure out how they want to do it. But you're still funding all other issues. You've delayed the funding, so that's the reason you're talking about 4 years from now, you would have the money, because the money's going back in for what you had collected for this year to the roads. Yes.
Steve, is it my understanding in terms of what she's thinking that piecemealing it really won't work because we won't have the construction of the wall to prevent, in other words, if we do some work and we don't prevent the erosion from water coming on in another year, that could be the same problem we have right now. Because what's happening is that the lake, even when we have hard rainfalls, brings water up into that area and it undermines the surface. And if we need that retaining wall to prevent that. So unless that's in, anything else we do is just going to be a waste of money.
Is there a guarantee from the company that's going to put in that retaining wall that that is going to work?
I don't know the answer to that.
What happens if you put it
Stated in his
in?
contract that it's gonna work,
Yeah.
so it has to.
Well, I would check their insurance.
We've already put this off about 3 years. Those courts have been disintegrating during that time, so it's not as though this happened yesterday. We've already put that off, so you can think of, we just shoved that issue down the road.
So then
45 years old.
if you spend this money and you get everything fixed, can you add a reserve then for every year doing whatever's necessary to keep it in order? Because I mean, the tennis courts didn't disintegrate in 1 year, so it's maybe something that needs to be looked at after they're fixed.
No, and that's what Barbara's talking about in the reserve schedule, but also when you total renovate an issue, like the tennis courts took 25 years to get to this level, but they are there. If it was totally renovated, then you would start a collection fund for 25 years from now to replace it again. And obviously it would be somewhat nominal versus getting hit at one time.
And in our case, the hurricanes
I mean, that's
caused
just
the
a lot
higher
of
level
money
of
right
water.
now for
So we have,
recreation.
You make very good points.
we don't have the damage we would have now, but we do have, we're unpredictable.
If we put off doing this, will it cost more down the road?
Oh, sure.
Yes. Nothing's going down.
No, everything's going up.
So on the same note, we're not painting the buildings because we were short on money for the buildings?
Now, we're not paying the building because we can clean them. We're gonna start in about a week or so. And power washing where the green is. The paint itself is in very good shape. There's no need to spend $750,000 to repaint. And when all we really need to do is like we did, what, 2 years ago? 2 years ago, Jim went around and had the buildings looking perfect again.
And this time it's Eddie?
This time it'll be Eddie. And that's saving us, again, a lot of money. Having Eddie do it versus outside, they wanted $27,000 last time.
Last quote, yeah.
Last quote, and what did it end up, Jim?
Jim did it for like
2,500?
No, it turned out to be closer to 6, but I mean, it was.
That would include materials.
Yeah, everything, yeah.
Yeah, that was like, that saved us $20,000 there, just by having our own guys that do this.
Well,
So
could we consider moving up the reserve study?
we can do that at the budget meeting, if you want.
Well, we would want to seek proposals now because you would want that answer for the budget meeting.
What kind of change do you think we're gonna get if we have a reserve study? I mean, we've got a lot of reserve study done now.
So based on associations across this country, most associations, not all, they performed at least one full reserve study every 5 years, and in between, some do nothing, but some then do updates every so many years.
So this will document that our reserves that we are making are correct.
Correct. Our annual audit report done by our independent public accountant says right now that our reserves are not supported by an independent reserve analysis. We do it internally. It's not a bad job, but we don't know, based on all the inflation
I
as a
think we've
result of
got a
COVID
pretty good
and things
reserve
like
right
that.
now. The only problem
But
we have are things we don't know about.
Correct. maybe the roof being one of them, you know.
I mean, people talk about the electrical issues in here, and you guys had a whole list of them, that the underground electrical that keeps going bad, and the money that, I don't know where that money came from, reserves I assume, but, you know, things, you know, you walk around and there's electrical wires laying everywhere. There's one by Chris Perry, the neighbor of yours, there's this great big loop of wire that's laying on the ground. There's places that there's just goofy things like that, it just seems like a lot of money. And I mean, is this gonna go to the people? Where, I mean, because it's almost like it's been sneaked in, because we seen it online. I mean, it doesn't say what the proposal was online. It really doesn't. Or what the money that we're talking about.
Everything is.
I know, but not everybody can do that, and we do have some older people. It seems like a lot of money, all at one time, especially when now we don't have money for the road out here, you know, and we do have hurricane season. There's just other things.
When it comes time for the road, it'll be back.
But it will be increased, so what's the
repaving
gonna cost in 4 years?
Right, I don't want an
What's it gonna
increase
cost?
every year if we don't have to.
So what's it gonna cost to repave in 4 years?
Well, let's think about the alternative. If we don't do this, I think we need to shut down the courts.
Yeah, we just shut down the courts and nobody can play anything.
Right.
Then we have one of them.
Don't shut down the courts too.
See, I know people that played all winter, a lot of these Canadians, I never heard anything about these courts being any worse than anywhere else they play. And I know some of them play over at Bray, and I've never heard that from any of them.
Do you play?
No, I do not. I do not.
I know. My wife plays there every day, and what ends of why, you know? And she complains about being dead, and you get back out there, you can trip and fall, and
Yeah, I've never heard that from any of the players, and I talk to them all the time at the pool.
well, if I tickle to death, they can play for free.
Steve, I would have one basic question. If we go with this proposal, it does not seem to me that we're putting the association financially at risk. We've got it within reserves and in the projected incomes that are coming in. If we have a shortfall, maybe on a short basis, but our reserves are covering most of everything we have. I don't understand. If this is not putting us at financial risk, I think it's the thing we have to do, is what I'm saying. And I don't see it on a personal level.
The other thing we have to think about is insurance costs. If it's a trip or fall hazard, our insurance company is gonna get
Increasing that.
Yeah.
That's how much
I mean,
you asked
and I don't even play pickleball, so.
Even Jim.
We got a whole ball of bag of football that says Flanagan on it.
That's what John said, that would.
Right.
Why didn't you get it?
Okay.
You need your hammer.
I
got a pen.
I move to approve the resurfacing of the tennis and pickleball courts as specified in this document.
I second it.
There's one proposal here.
Of a $168,000 proposal.
Yep. I suppose that's
Stewart.
What do we call it?
Dennis?
Stewart.
Stewart.
That is Stewart.
Stewart tennis courts.
But I mean, what is this project called?
Renovation of tennis and pickleball courts.
For renovation.
So can I, just to be clear, where are we getting the 60,000 for the trash this year? That's over? Did you say that there's 60,000?
I think we have a cable vision.
Yeah, we do.
John.
All right, so motion was made by
Coming from cable, Rob.
Shannon.
Yep.
Seconded by Karen.
Okay. Board has discussion and then forms.
Any board want to discuss this anymore?
No, it's not ready.
Now I'm going to ask the owners before. Now you ask the owners before.
Owners discussion?
I think you guys have made your decision, I just think that maybe this should have been a little more transparent, yeah, open to the people. Cause everybody we've talked to just seems really concerned about this amount of money being spent on it.
And it only came up, it seems, in the last meeting, so I've watched numerous board meetings, and we haven't seen it on any of the minutes where there's been anything asking for this to be repaired. So it just seems like on the May 14th board, workshop, this just came up. When was it ever put
I'll have
up
to say,
prior?
this part I'll respectfully disagree with you on this, Mary Ann, because we've got proposals going back 3 years.
But have they been talked about in workshops, or have they been on minutes?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's been thready, but it's been at least 2 or 3 years.
So it hasn't been a topic on the.
It's been brought up every single time, but it has been a topic.
Sure seemed to have a little more of a priority at that time, the last 3 years.
Well, we knew we was in trouble.
Yeah, but the point is, insurance took higher priority than the pickleball courts at that time.
That was a very big thing. We didn't bring it up because of the insurance.
Gus has his hand up here.
Gus, go ahead.
Do we have a proposal on this repair to the courts?
Yes.
I mean, a proposal on the table to vote.
Yes.
Yes.
It's in your minutes that are in your email.
It's in the email, maybe you didn't get, Gus, the whole proposal.
No, John, not those proposals. I mean, a proposal for the board to vote on.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion.
Yes.
You mean a motion?
Yes.
A motion? The motion is to approve the $168,000 proposal to Stewart Tennis Courts for renovation of the pickleball and tennis courts. That's the motion.
Okay, in case he hasn't seen it, we can just delineate it real quick. Should be there, yeah. Here we go, Dennis, or I'm sorry, Gus. 80,000 is to remove the existing fence, tennis courts, dispose of it properly, and take away the dividing fence between the tennis and the pickleball courts, and grade everything and install a 6-inch shell base to the pickleball courts. Asphalt curing, and install 6 net post sleeves, $7,200. That's for the pickleball courts. Court preparation for the tennis courts, which includes clearing, flooding, patching, and 4 coats of surface materials, including white lines, $19,500. That's pickleball, yeah, pickleball courts. Retaining wall is $10,500. Green fencing is $23,900. And $2,000 for the netting between the 6 courts. And there, where is the other one? First one, and the tennis courts is 24,600.
Can I ask, why do they need to replace the netting?
When they take everything out, the posts have to go in and the sleeves have to go in. They're all have to be re-engineered. And they're you currently have you only have 4 courts now. They're going to have 6, and they're going to change direction. They're going to be permanent.
You know where the tennis nets are now on the pickleball courts?
Yes.
That's where they're talking
The
about.
pickleball nets.
No, you need a net to separate the 2 sides, so that the balls don't go.
Which are the former tennis nets.
Yes, exactly.
And they're staying or being
No.
replaced?
No, they're going out.
The only thing staying would be the old tennis court nets.
And so, are you gonna take the temporary pickleball nets, the mobile ones, and put them on the tennis courts here?
No, we're gonna save them. If it gets to that point, we might reline the tennis courts like we did over
like
there.
you did on the other side.
Yeah, we're gonna save those.
Because those are high grade. And
Just don't tell Mark.
We have a second on the motion?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Mark.
And if discussion is done, I'll call for a vote.
Cookie Finch?
Yes.
I did have one more question.
Okay.
On the,
By all
on both, it doesn't matter which one, they both say the same thing. There's a note that says if any irrigation or drains need to be moved during the construction process, STCF can do this. Is that at their cost? It's included in the price, or is that extra?
Read that one again, Mark.
It's under, let's just look at the $24,600 quote, the second, top of the second page. It says if any irrigation or drains need to be moved during the construction process, STCF can do this. Is that at our cost, or is it included?
If that had to be done, we would do it in-house at no extra cost.
We would do it in-house?
Yes.
Okay, and on both those,
Yes.
because they both say that's.
And also, we would be removing the 3 palm trees that are where the wall would go at in-house at no cost.
We'll be putting palm trees.
No, they've got to come down, unfortunately.
The other thing we talked about over the years, sorry, was about this drainage that potentially clogged. You know, when all these ponds connect, and there's some, wasn't there a discussion about one of the drains in that area? We don't know if it's.
No, they're draining. We determined after some rains we watched, we went and every day and checked, and they are draining, but I'm sure that over the years, you know, the drain pipes, that's big around, I'm sure that they've got a bunch of residue in there. And eventually they'll probably have to be, you know.
But that's not part of
Road,
this
no.
at all.
Believe it or not, we've done this more than you think we should, but I was there last Friday and looked in the catch basins that we're concerned about affecting, and they were dry as a bone. So that means that there's nothing in there, just like, I mean, our whole evacuation system into the big lake is dry. It must be 40 feet away from the drains.
So they have nothing to do with what the water rising too high in that area?
Well, no, it's just the runoff, the heavy duty runoff of the storms.
All of our parking lots go into the ponds.
Okay. Dan?
Yes.
I say yes. Shannon?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Denny?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Monica?
Yes.
Tammy? What? Yes? Tiffany?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Gus? Yes or no?
Your vote, Gus.
Yes.
Okay. John West?
Yes.
All right.
Motion's carried.
The marvel always.
You can call them up.
All right, bulk debris dumpster costs. We touched on this a little bit in the workshop. This dumpster out here was originally made for the association when we had stuff we needed to get rid of, maintenance or whatever. And over the years, it's become a catch-all. We've had residents call, oh, can you take this? We've sent our guys out and we pick up stuff and we put it in there. And that has gone out of control recently, in the last 6 months. We're now having it dumped twice, I think 3 times last month.
Sometimes 3 times, yeah.
And the cost of each time is
About $1,380.
$1,400, a shot. And people are coming up on the weekends, dumping mattresses, couches. People are calling and we're picking up couches. We're sending our work guys on work time with the wagon down there, and that's taking like a half hour of time that they could be doing landscaping. cutting the grass right.
We've been here 4 years and we were told that when we moved in. I don't know if it was by John, Maggie, or in just communication. We were told that that was part of, you know, what they would do for us in here, you know, is what we were told. And I don't know who, I won't quote who, because I don't remember.
No, you're not wrong.
You know,
You're not wrong.
'cause I've had a couple things picked up and, you know, that, and like I told John today when I talked to him, we got stuff out by our dumpster, mattresses. We just had renters move out of Lakeside and they dumped it all out by the dumpster and the dumpster sat full
I
today.
agree.
But on the same note,
Furniture companies also can take it away, but you
Yeah.
have to pay. So everybody chooses just to call us and let us do it. We're talking about trash, you know, going through the ceiling. I think that we talked about in the workshop some is maybe having a charge on certain large items, because if you look out there right now, that dumpster's overflowing, and there's enough stuff right here on the ground to fill it as soon as he empties it. And this is just month after month after month now, so. You know, it's not an unreasonable fee, but if we were to take certain items, you know, little stuff, you know, a suitcase and, you know, whatever, little end table, I'm not worried about that. But when you have a queen size or king size mattress, and you got a dresser,
I mean, the dumpster charging $20 for it, you know, for a mattress. They are, because I did it back in Michigan.
They take it away now.
Yep. I had a big dumpster.
Take it away.
Yep, and yeah, and but they charge you on top of that, $20 for a mattress and anything big that has foam in it, they're charging. But I do
So
understand.
my thought was, you know, let's consider putting a charge on certain items, and we have no problem doing it.
Maybe you should sign it.
Yeah.
Okay, I can do that. We can make an ad hoc committee to come up with pricing.
I'm afraid
Who would like to be on that?
you're gonna do that and people are gonna do like they did over the weekend and dump it next to the dumpster.
Our
And-
cameras
Well,
will be
hopefully
back
we'll get
up.
our
There'll be a
cameras,
camera there.
and we'll be able to see them.
And they can be fine. And
Or you can set, committee can always set, you don't have to appoint it now, but you can put it in structure to have it an ad hoc committee to develop it. You can always appoint people at a later date if we don't have anybody right now. Unless somebody wants to volunteer like Dan. No, I'm kidding.
I hate to walk in front of y'all.
somebody
I
like
can
to
watch your,
volunteer to head that.
I'm gonna go under that camera.
Dan can do it.
I can do it. He's got nothing.
No, I'm kidding.
I wasn't.
I never did.
Somebody's gonna help me.
Shannon will work on it.
Choose your own.
I'll work on it.
I'm gonna work on it with Dan.
Shannon's gonna work on it.
Dan will be on.
Choose Steve Ray.
Yeah, we'll do the work, so I'll,
You'll be on.
Who?
Dan
Jen?
and Shannon.
All right, see, we're, you know, something reasonable, you know, we don't wanna take it, you know, to penalize people.
You know, our own guys in here, I've seen them on the weekends over by her place. They're gutting a place or doing something in a place. They filled the dumpster up with stuff out of our own guys did it. You know, our own maintenance. So,
Part of the
it's-
policy
it's
was,
going.
part of the policy was if you have outside contractors doing work, they should take it away.
They should, I agree, they should.
But if our guys are doing stuff on the side, should they be considered an outside contractor?
They certainly should be, and they shouldn't be bringing it in anymore.
Okay.
And if they are, then that's not right. Yeah, well, we have a meeting with the group, so that's a good one.
Okay. All right, Dan, thank you. Landscape cleanup guidelines. Tiffany? Jump in there. Go ahead.
All right.
How are you?
So, we've had some requests at the landscape committee, for people to assist with cleanup, especially when the grounds crew doesn't have time and people like gardening or like weeding. And so we wanted to build a structure around that so that people could do it, with safety guidelines, with rules and approvals built in. Everything would go through the landscape committee meeting. We would allow time for citizen comments so that if anyone had any objections to someone doing this work, that they could say, no, I don't want, you know, this area out back of my place to be messed with or whatever. And we put together a packet which is on the back of the package that we have. Although this is an earlier version, we have a more up-to-date version. And it also gives some approved species, especially the invasive ones that we're finding are taking down major tree limbs and giving problems. And we also include instructions for how to remove them effectively and resources for identification. Anyways, the landscape committee worked on this for a few months, and it's bounced around to a bunch of us, and we've all put our input in. And so we're presenting the final version to the board today for approval. Is that good info?
Will the committee be making recommendations of areas where they think there should be things done? This is great as far as if we decide to do it, this is how to do it and guidelines. But how about where you would like somebody to work on that spot?
We hadn't discussed recommending areas yet, but I will say that there are so many areas, pretty much every area that we have that's green is affected by invasive species right now. So I don't think there's any bad choice for areas that could use a little extra help. And but if someone wanted to come to the landscape committee and maybe get recommendations, I'm sure we'd be able to point them in some effective directions.
I can say that Tiffany and Gus worked very hard on this, and the whole committee did. And it's primarily a volunteerism type issue to those who wish to do something outside that they feel would benefit the association.
Are you talking about plants and your own gardening and stuff?
Yeah, and we have rules that, you know, you're not allowed to add plants unless you get special permission, but we have some approved species that you can remove that are being destructive in the ecosystem right now, and that, you know, you pull those out.
Well, I'm just afraid of people wanting to put stones and whatever they want just to beautify their places, and that can't be done.
That's not allowable in the guidelines.
It's not allowable in our bylaws or our rules either.
Well, you still get people that want to try and get away with it.
Yeah, and even if they did have that idea, they would have to run it through the landscape committee, and we would deny that request.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes?
Amen.
Wow, that's fabulous.
Is it raining?
Yes.
First time
Sorry.
on the dumpster. Okay.
I think the proposal is excellent. I just have one question, and that is, if people volunteer and someone is injured, do we have any liability, or is that, other than that, I think it's an excellent idea, and I would support it 100%. I don't know what the issue is on that.
The basic rule is that if the person's not being compensated to do the work, it's not volunteerism, and the association doesn't have responsibility. Okay, they don't.
Thank you.
What, can you say that again?
Should that be in
That's
saying
not the
if-
discussions
when
we've
they
had
request
before.
to do
Yeah, I know.
work, we,
If they're not being compensated for it, they're.
yeah, you can put that in.
But they can sue they can still sue
Okay,
and
anybody
put a
can sue
claim
at
in
any
the
time.
association.
Yeah, but it's rules not historical. I've seen too many of them.
Well, I just said, how about if she puts it in their request, that if they're hurt, they're
You're on your own.
you're on your own.
Yeah, but that's,
That's not, John
You
said
can-
that's not, it doesn't
yeah, it
matter.
doesn't, you know, being a former risk manager, that doesn't get you anywhere.
No, you'll still sue.
Somebody can,
They'll sue
somebody
you.
wants
It
to
was
sue,
money,
they'll
they'll sue you.
Yeah.
So while I think this is a great idea, I don't know why we would wanna open ourselves up for that.
Well, what,
I mean, we do, our workers have workers' comp.
partner, yes, of course.
Okay. And if there's a severe enough area where it warrants, why can't that be a project for our crews to go address? You know, on an ad hoc basis, right?
Well, then you have so much time to do that.
Well, I think the germination of this report or guideline was because initially maybe some of the owners and residents felt that some of the cleaner uppers were somewhat overzealous in what they did.
Yes, they were. I
Yeah,
think
okay.
they were.
Yeah, okay. And so this was trying to ameliorate that. In other words, trying to put a level to it that we would understand so everybody would agree, so the people around there would know it. I mean, if we're gonna get into the minutia of somebody getting hurt, it's a possibility, there's no question about it. But, I mean, we were trying to make it even for everybody to know what was gonna go on in the area before it happened.
And
Just so
anybody
it couldn't
could
be
say
criticism.
no and
Yeah.
be dead.
So it wouldn't be based on a vote? It would be if one person says, no, I don't want that happening behind me,
My
it's dead?
place,
Well, I think you would have to, here again, you lose some freedoms in a condominium, we all know that, okay? So if 16 people want it and one person doesn't, it's an issue, but normally the 16 people would prevail. But I think that the case that you brought up, a very good case, you thought it was scalped and you thought it was a wildlife area, and I think that other people might agree with you. So it's a, you know, it's just not a specific thing like, I don't like blue plants, you know.
So, I mean, just overall as treasurer, I really have a problem with the liability issue of that.
You don't have to vote for it. You
I got it.
could be the vote, you know.
We've got liability if they walk down the road. We've got liability if I walk across the grass. And if I pick up my mail, I've got liability, and if I pick up the paper and strain my back, that in essence is liability too, so.
But this is actively opening up this type
We're
of
not
work.
telling them to do it.
It's voluntary, they wanna do it. They don't wanna do it, you don't do it.
Nobody's telling them or mandating they must do it.
Did we have a big response that people want to do some
There's enough
stuff?
people that have
Yeah.
come forward to wild areas in particular, where the vines have come in and they're invasive and some even damaging the pets.
Gotcha.
And so they say, we'd like to be able to do it. And the whole idea was they were doing it,
Just to help.
but they got a little bit overzealous in what they did, and this thing came from it, as always something does. There's always an action.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, next thing they're out there with the chainsaw and
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is one thing that's forbidden, no power tools, no herbicides, no ladders, no pulling things from above your head.
I
We've
need
built
them
some
power
safety precautions.
I can see you with the power tool.
I motion to accept the latest version,
Publish the latest.
yeah, of the,
Some minor changes.
yeah, the landscape cleanup guidelines.
I'll second that for you, Steve.
Anybody second it?
Yes.
Somebody
Dick.
said-
All right, Dick seconded it.
This is not an enforceable document. So this is more educational.
Yeah,
It's if you wanna.
it's fun, it's what you wanna do.
I think it's great, but,
What do you mean not enforceable?
I
We're not
mean,
making you
if
do it.
somebody plants Australian pines around or another invasive species, the landscape committee's not gonna come down and say, that'll be $250 fine.
Maybe. Well, they do need landscape committee permission to do that.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't,
That's
You
the
can't
theory.
plant anything without landscaping committee
That's
approval.
business
That's
as
the
usual.
theory. The question is who enforces it? You know?
Well, who enforces it now? Because that's not even,
We do.
that's normal.
We do, we enforce it.
Yeah.
We've made it people to take things out.
I think the objective of what I see here is when people do this, how much can they do and what should they work on, and give them some guidance and so on. Otherwise, we might have people coming in there chopping trees down too. The bottom line, a lot of people want to just go out in their backyard, and what do I do about those vines? Can I grab them and take them up and throw them over in a pile, and would that do anything to the landscape, or would it help the landscape? And I think we've got some guidelines.
We got guidelines, okay.
Cookie.
Yes.
Oh, wait a minute. You finished with discussion?
And second.
You wanna read the motion?
The motion